everyone. I feel like I must turn my manners on for this segment because our next guest is a professional butler. His name is Charles MacPherson. He's joining us now to talk about his book, The Butler Speaks. How are you, Charles?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
I just think it's fascinating that you're an actual professional butler.
Well, that's what they say. But no.
Do you go to butler school? Is that what happened?
I didn't, but I own a butler school now. I own the only registered butler school in North America.
Now, the art of, does one call it butlery?
So it's butling or butlering. Absolutely. Both are absolutely acceptable.
Well, just once, I want you to say, "I failed you, Master Bruce."
I failed you, Master Bruce.
There we go. Let's talk about Downton Abbey because I mean, it is a lost art, and of course, it takes us back to those times with the upstairs, downstairs of society.
Yes.
It seems to be making a comeback, is it not?
It's a great comeback, and I think what's great about Downton Abbey, it's during the Edwardian era, so King Edward is on the throne in England, and it's the most gracious period in history in private service, and it's the last period in history of private service before we go into World War I and the world changes. And what's great about that show is the accuracy of the upstairs, downstairs portrayal and how the roles are done. It's done very, very researched very well and done very well.
And it was very respected profession as well.
Absolutely, because what's interesting in Queen Victoria's time, so before the Edwardian period, 70% of the British population was in private service.
Really?
Because there was no safety nets. So you had 3 square meals a day, you had a roof over your head, and it was a good job.
Wow.
So 70% of the population was in private service, and then that obviously changed. And by the time we got to the 1960s, it was 2%. And that's how much of a change it went through.
And Charles, one thing that always astounds me is that simple manners seem to be lost in today's society. Table manners, even. People don't know which fork, knife,
and I think
glass.
that's really sad because
Why is that?
It's just a great question because the problem is we used to all sit around the table, have lunch with dinner with mom and dad, brother, sister, and now unfortunately we're going to soccer practice, we're going to French lessons, we're going to whatever, and so dinner is through a drive-through window and we're eating in the backseat of the car as we're rushing to get to the next lesson or the next class, and so we're not using a knife and a fork when we're eating a burger or a piece of pizza in the backseat of the car. And so if we don't ever practice it, we can't ever learn it.
But that'll bring us to our book here.
Absolutely.
Of course, people can pick up your book to find out everything. You're going to teach us a few manners today, and we're going to start off with social interaction. Now,
absolutely.
We've got some business cards
we
here.
do. And so, this is one of the things that I think is such a great example of why, etiquette is so important, is because if you know how to do something properly, it gives you self-confidence, and people love to be around people that have self-confidence. And so one of the ways that is becoming a worldly way that we hand out our business card is the Asian method of how we hand out a business card. And so the Asians believe that a business card is actually part of your soul that you're giving someone, as opposed to us in North America who think it's just a piece of printed paper. And so in Asia, the way the card is given out is it's presented. So I would do it with both fingers. And
do I accept it the same way?
And you accept it the same way. But more importantly, you have to look at it once you receive it, and you have to hold on to it. You don't put it in your pocket or anything like that. You then hold it for the rest of the conversation. And then I would then also, of course, present it to you.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
I will accept your 2-for-1 Burger King.
Now, I think the most important thing about this is not only because Canada is, where we are here on the West Coast is as close, to Asia as possible, but this is becoming now the international standard. And what it shows people is that you are an international businessman because you now know cultures from around the world.
And a man of mystery. Okay, now Patrick is a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
He travels a lot.
Yes.
And a man's shirt can get wrinkled, and you are going to give us some great advice on how to pack a shirt without having it wrinkled.
Absolutely. So here's the first question for you. What creates the wrinkle? Any idea?
Folding.
Isn't it wrong?
So what creates the wrinkle is when you take a piece of fabric, and if you fold it in half and you have pressure where it's folded, that now creates a crease.
Okay.
So if we create volume in there, then we don't ever have pressure on a crease. So the whole concept is we want to have volume in the shirt. That will stop it from creasing.
All right.
Okay, so what we've done is, first of all, we've done the buttons on the front face of the shirt, which is important because you want to hold the shirt together. The second thing is tissue paper is your friend, particularly when it comes to packing. And so...
Finally, I have a use for all that leftover tissue paper at home.
You can never, ever, ever have too much tissue paper. And remember that when you unpack, you can just keep it in your suitcase and use it again.
Okay.
So you're not throwing it out. Okay? But the more tissue paper you have, the better it is to create that volume. So we've put already 3 sheets of tissue paper that are here already in the back of the shirt. And so now we're going to fold the shirt over.
Patrick, what are the odds of you actually doing this next time you pack your suitcase?
0 to none.
But this will stop you from having to iron the shirt when you get to the other side.
I find it easier just to get a butler.
And we'd love to travel with you.
I guess in a perfect world, that's how it would happen,
Are you
right?
kidding me? I would love to be the guy who shows up for a bar gig, and I would just be like, if you could speak to Charles, my butler, about how I like my chicken wings.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be
So you've got that in there. You just fold it.
So we've just now, so we've just make sure that we've got the same distance,
All right.
at the top. We've got the volume of the tissue paper inside. We're now
More tissue paper.
more tissue paper. Remember, you can never.
It's our friend.
Exactly. We like tissue paper.
Or you could get a job at the Gap. Right? No?
I'm not saying anything. I don't want to lose the Gap account.
So now
There
you
we
can
go.
see how the garment has a volume in it because of the tissue paper.
Right.
That's stopping it from getting wrinkled. And then there's one last final trick. You take the last piece of tissue paper, you wrinkle it up like that,
Yeah.
and you put it
Oh.
in the collar.
Now, when I put this in my suitcase, though, aren't I going to have like a whole bunch of stuff on top of it? And that's
No,
gonna...
because you're going to put a shirt the opposite way, and you're actually, this is for when you're packing for something really nice. It's not when you're packing and you're trying to cram everything into that overhead bin space, small suitcase.
Listen, I travel by aeroplane, so...
Okay, now we don't
That's a
have
great tip.
enough time to do everything we're supposed to do, so we're going to have to.
I want to know the social etiquette of how to cut the cheese properly.
We already know the rule on that one, Patrick. But the one that everybody wanted to know actually is how to open a bottle of wine properly. If you can do that one fairly quickly.
I would love to.
I'm going to pass it on over here.
Great.
So what is it that we can do right, and what is it that we're doing wrong?
So the most important thing is, of course, we need to take care of get rid of the metal top.
Mm-hmm.
And so the most people do is they move at the first ridge, but you actually want to go at the second ridge.
Oh.
And the reason for that is because when the wine comes out, you don't want the wine to be able to touch the metal, because otherwise it'll discolor. It'll change the flavor of it.
Did you go to school for this? This is...
I didn't, but you know what? I worked for one of Canada's most famous families who we all love, and it's the lady of the house who gave me lessons every week for a year on how to be a butler.
Wow.
Name
That's
what
how I learned it.
family?
What was the family?
Oh, it's a great family, but as a true professional butler, I can't tell you.
Give us the first
I want to
letter.
buy your book. You just... This is like... Wow.
Charles is going to keep opening the wine. Keep on going here, my friend. I'm going to tell you that you can go to Charles' website. It's charlesmacpherson.com to find out more information. And Charles will also be in Victoria on Saturday, May 4th for a tea and talk. And Patrick, you'll note that I kept my business card in my hand for the entire conversation. Where's yours?
I put it close to my heart.
Okay.
Right here in my...
I'll give that to you. Do you know why I'm giving that to you? Because you actually really, it's more about the moisture. You want to make sure that the cork is moist, which means the bottle was stored properly.
And it was.
And, you ready? You ready
Yes.
for your glass of wine?
Yes.
I don't
We are ready.
drink.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more on The Rush right after this. Don't go away.
Believe it or not, I don't drink because
know
I
what?
turn into an idiot.
I find that hard to believe.
If you can believe.